The top tiers of the American ground forces have always lacked a powerful mobile multi-role light vehicle. Tanks like the HSTVL and Stryker have attempted to plug this gap, but these vehicles are highly specialised tanks, with little flexibility in their battlefield roles. This has left players having to look elsewhere, mainly the lower rank 6 Bradley and Sheridan light tanks. While powerful, they were rather weak at top tier, but with the latest update, a new vehicle has graced the American lineup. This is the M3A3 Bradley, a modernisation of the early Bradley variant. The A3 variant features more powerful missiles, better ammunition, and high-resolution thermal imaging, but it is still using the old M3 chassis, complete with its lack of mobility. So is this Bradley going to be a new powerful addition to the American lineup, or just like the elephant in the British tree, is it dead on arrival? Alright lads, today I'm going to be talking about the performance, weapons and playstyle of the M3A3 Bradley. Starting as always with the basics, this vehicle is a rank 6 battle rating 8.7 light tank located in the American tech tree. To unlock this tank, you will have to grind out 250,000 RP points, before purchasing the tank for a cost of 690,000 silver lions. I actually expect to see this rise, as I'm assuming in the future Gaijin will change the M3A3 to be a rank 7 vehicle. As we'll see shortly in the following review, the vehicle is insanely powerful at the minute. To crew the tank, it will cost you an additional 200,000 silver lions, and to purchase the expert in 8 qualifications for the tank, it will cost you 690,000 silver lions and 2,100 golden eagles respectively. The Bradley also has a relatively low repair cost, at least by American standards, at 3,404 silver lions. Going on to the rewards, and the Bradley has a base modifier of 2.26, giving you an RP modifier of 226% with a free-to-play account and 452% with a premium account. You also have a base silver line modifier of 1.4, the same modifier found on the higher tier premiums. This gives you a base silver line modifier of 280% with a free-to-play account and 420% with a premium account. In terms of customization, there are several camouflages available to purchase for Golden Eagles, and one camouflage available on the Gaijin marketplace. In terms of lineups, America at battle rating 8.7 is pretty weak. This has led me to up-tiering the tank to battle rating 9.0 and 9.3. Here you can bring along the Macavers, the M60 TTS, XM1, as well as the MBT70 and the XM803. For close-air support, you have the A4B or the A4E. Altogether, the 9.3 lineup is fairly powerful, and the Bradley is an excellent addition. In this video we're going to cover the mobility, armour and firepower of the tank, before finishing with a conclusion. If you do enjoy these sorts of reviews, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. Starting as always with the engine and mobility, and the M3A3 is powered by an engine producing 608 horsepower. Combined with the vehicle's weight of 29.9 tonnes, it gives the tank a power to weight ratio of 20.3 horsepower per tonne. This is pretty good, but it is lower than the previous M3 Bradley, which had a power to weight ratio of 22.7 horsepower per tonne. Compared to the first Bradley variant, the A3 has an additional 6.6 tonnes of equipment. We'll see later on in the review whether these upgrades were worth it, but for now, just know that the Bradley is slightly less nimble than its older brother. Moving on to the transmission, and the increased weight of the tank has also had a negative effect here as well. Whereas the previous Bradley could reach a speed of 66 km per hour, the A3 can only reach 62 km per hour in a straight line. However, both models can reach a respectable 13 km in reverse. Although not as fast as the M3, being slower by 4 km per hour isn't really that much of a negative, and neither vehicle is realistically going to reach that top speed on most maps. But it certainly is true that the M3 has a slight advantage in slow speed acceleration, but personally, I never found the M3A3 to be slow or sloppy. Overall, the mobility of the Bradley is pretty good. That new engine upgrade has clearly paid dividends. While the M3A3 is no BMP2, it is still fast enough to keep up with the main battle tanks, at least around battle rating 9.0. However, when up-tiering the tank to 10.7 alongside the M1A2, the performance is a little bit lacking. In general, the M3A3 is just a regular Bradley that's been watching Ziz videos and hitting the gym 4 times a week. Moving on to the armour and survivability, and the first thing to mention is the fact that the Bradley has a crew of 3 men, with 2 in the turret and a driver in the hull. While normally this wouldn't give you amazing survivability, due to the vehicle featuring a frontally mounted engine, rounds impacting from the front tend to get eaten by the engine bay. While this does leave you unable to move, and facing a 40-second repair, it usually allows you to tank at least one shot. Taking a round from the side of the vehicle is a different matter though. A round hitting the side of the turret will instantly kill the vehicle, as the 2 crew members are located in close proximity and will almost certainly be killed upon impact. But moving on to the actual arm performance itself, and to test this we'll be using the APDS belt found on the BMP2M. Starting as always with the lower frontal plate, and we have around 70mm of effective protection. Again though, being shot here will result in the engine being destroyed, mobility killing the vehicle. Protection is marginally better as we move to the upper plate. Starting with a little under 70mm at the base of this plate, it steadily increases to slightly over 70mm of protection. So as you can tell, the Bradley certainly isn't unstoppable. Moving up to the turret, and it again isn't really that much better here, with the cheeks only really providing 70mm of armour, and the gun breech itself being a little bit better with 140mm of protection. But needless to say, from the front, this vehicle is incredibly vulnerable. Turning the camera to the side of the vehicle, and the hull only really has 1.5 inches of armour, or 38mm, and the turret is slightly better at 40mm. And finally, the rear of the turret provides 48mm of armour, and the rear of the hull provides 40mm of armour. Overall, the survivability of the Bradley is pretty good. While it has no real armour to speak of, it can sustain a good amount of hits before being taken out, especially with that engine at the front of the vehicle. While you only have 3 crew members, one-shot kills weren't too common. The Bradley has a lot of void space that absorbs shrapnel, although he may have just gotten lucky in games. So taking a look at the weapons and ammunition, and just like the old M3, the M3A3 is armed with the 25mm M242 cannon. The rate of fire of this gun is very low, at least compared to the 30mm on the BMP2. The accuracy is also very bad, with the dispersion massively increasing after continuously firing several rounds. Compared to the STRF 9040's cannon, the Bradley's 25mm is like a high capacity musket. Powerful, but you need to be about 50 metres away from a target to actually hit the bloody thing. Regardless of the poor accuracy, the tank does have very good vertical guidance characteristics, with 59 degrees of elevation and 9 degrees of gun depression. This allows you to target helicopters as well as low flying jets with some level of success. You can carry 1,500 rounds of ammunition for your main gun, as well as 12 missiles, with the 10 additional missiles carried in the rear of the tank. The missile carrier holds 2 missiles in total, and after firing both of them, it takes a total of 10 seconds for the missiles to be reloaded. Moving on to the targeting score under the gunner section, and we can see that you have a base turret rotation speed of 42 degrees per second, which rises to 60 degrees per second with an ace crew. This is very fast, 50% more than the XM1 Premium, and it greatly aids your ability to engage aircraft in the vehicle. Next we move on to the modifications, and I want to point out that this tank gets access to a laser rangefinder as well as high resolution thermal imaging for the gunner and commander's sights. This is very good for a battle rating 8.7 vehicle, and is only really matched by the M3A3 in the British tech tree. You do also have a pretty nice field of view in the gunner sight, as well as a base 4x zoom and an optional 12x zoom. Moving on to the 25mm ammunition, and the stock belts contain an APDS round capable of punching through 81mm of flat armour, and against armour angled at 60 degrees, it can penetrate 31mm of armour. This isn't too bad, but the low rate of fire of the gun does let it down a little bit. For example, the BMP2M has a similar level of penetration with its APDS belt, but fires much faster. This issue is somewhat answered in the 4th rank of the modifications, as the M3A3 gets access to the M919 APFSDS rounds. Yes, that's right, 25mm APFSDS rounds. These penetrate 101mm of flat armour and 58mm of armour angled at 60 degrees. These rounds are perfect for bullying Leopard L44s, but in a full up tier, they will struggle against the heavily armoured Soviet opponents. Moving on to the missiles, and this is where this tank really starts to shine. The old M3 Bradley used the TOW missiles with 430mm of penetration. On the M3A3, the stock missiles are the TOW 2s with 800mm of penetration. This is a huge jump in performance, and seeing this as a battle rating 8.7 vehicle, there are very few tanks that can resist such a powerful payload. But it gets even better. In the 3rd rank of the modifications, you get access to the TOW 2B. These are top-down attack missiles, meaning they are flown above a hostile and detonate above them, sending the chemical energy downwards onto the weaker part of the armour. These missiles aren't hard to use at all, despite being top-down attack. Simply aim directly at an opponent, and the missile will automatically guide itself above the enemy. Both of these missiles also travel at around 300 meters per second, making them about 50% faster than the missile found on the BMP2M. Apart from the main gun and the missiles, the Bradley also has a single coaxially mounted rifle caliber machine gun. Overall, the weapons of the Bradley are very good. Its missiles are insanely powerful against the vehicles of all nations, and seeing as your launcher holds 2 missiles, you can immediately launch a second if you mess up the first. While the autocannon on the tank isn't great, it's still more than good enough for pissing off premium Leopard players, as well as vibe checking Gepards that have taken too many brave pills. To conclude, the M3A3 is a great addition to the American tech tree. It's powerful, quick, and far more importantly, actually fun to play. I've been playing this little tank on stream a lot, and it's actually really fun memeing on people with the TOW 2Bs. The top-down attack ability allows you to punish opponents in situations that weren't previously possible. Campers hold down behind rocks? No problem, fire one of these things at them and job done. The deployment time of the missile launcher is a little long, so this vehicle isn't designed for aggressive play like the BMP-2M, but it is by far the best passive light tank in the game. While the 25mm APFSDS rounds do have high penetration, it doesn't come close to being as effective as the autocannons found on the BMP-2 series of tanks, but it trades raw damage for high velocity and consistent penetration, allowing the M3A3 to be as deadly against helicopters and planes as it is against other light vehicles. Overall, I'd highly recommend people grind out this vehicle. I can honestly say that this is my favourite tank of the IXWA Strike update. It completely changes the battle rating 9.0 plus American lineup, and due to the top-down attack missiles and high-resolution thermals, this Bradley is just as effective at top tier as it is at battle rating 8.7. Alright lads, thank you very much for watching this video. What do you guys think about this vehicle? If you have any questions or suggestions to improve the channel, then please feel free to leave a comment below. I now have community memberships enabled for the channel. If you'd like access to behind the scenes footage, as well as access to content a few hours early, then please do consider becoming a member. I'd also like to mention that I now have a Twitch account, where I stream pretty frequently. So if you'd like to follow me there, my Twitch handle is SAKO Sniper, the same as this YouTube channel. But if you do enjoy these sorts of reviews, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. But more importantly lads, I hope you have a great day, and thank you very much for watching.